part 2 of our video showcasing the AI modules update number 5. In our first video, we showed you an overview of everything that's coming in update 5 and 4. And in the next part, we're going to show you a tutorial about how we get AI search working. So my name's Jamie, and I'm a co-maintainer of the AI module and a co-founder for Freely Give. And we've been working on AI stuff and CRM Drupal stuff for a very long time. Frederick.
Hi, I'm Frederick. I work for Calibrate and also active in the AI issue queue, and really curious to learn more about this.
Cool. So I'm going to show you this AI Automators. We're going to show you a little demo of how to get it working. Frederick's going to chime in, ask questions, make statements. So firstly, this is the AI module. It's the core of it is an AI abstraction layer, which allows you to use any models that you like and swap them out. But on top of it, we've also provided a series of tools to allow you to build complex and interesting web applications. And one important one is this one called AI Automators, which we're going to be showcasing today. Now, AI Automators is the brainchild of Marcus, and he created a module called AI Interpolator quite a while ago. And what it allows you to do is create let's say, we're going to call them automators now, but an automator that might be an AI automator that uses a prompt to take some information, go to AI, and then fill out a field in some way. And you can then chain it so that another field then does another step. And each time you do all these steps, you get closer and closer to building something quite interesting and complicated beyond what you can do in a chatbot. There are lots of different automators. So the most standard one will be using AI, but there's a whole series of automators he's got. So you can use automators to scrape a website. A lot of times, this is a really useful starting point for a lot of AI applications. You can use it unstructured, which we are going to use it today for taking text files, plain text, PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoint, etc. And that's your starting point for this chain. You can download YouTube videos. We've done things where you've gone to Google Places and downloaded things. So Frederick, what's been your encounters with AI Automator Interpolator, and what have you tried out?
For me, it was really interesting in working with texts. So what I noticed was that our editors are creating derived content, for example, social media content or things that relate to the content which you're talking about. And so for us, just a simple textual version was already very useful and interesting. One of the cases where we used it, which actually kind of was mind-blowing, was we have like commerce products, and the commerce products have technical details, but they didn't have a description. So with the old interpolator module, now called Automator, what we did is we gave it all these technical information and asked it to generate a description concerning this product, and it really generated a very nice description for this product. That's one. And I think another one was where you describe an image with an alt text, which is also very useful. Certainly in 2025, I think the Accessibility Act coming, so alt texts will become more important. So for us, it has been really useful.
Cool. Now, there are a lot of things you can do with this. So Marcus has made this website called Workflows of AI. And here, whenever he builds a new automator or tries a new demo, whilst he's testing it, he records a video of him doing it, which allows you to see how to do it. So, for example, a description about this unstructured module that we're going to use today, which you can use a PDF, PowerPoint, docx as text context for AI. You can watch that video there. And it shows you a description of what it is, all the modules that you need, documentation pages, and a video. There's a huge number of things. Removing images from a background. He's got one where he creates a whole podcast, generates a character of himself talking about things. He uses his own voice. There's a lot of things there. Simpler ones of migrating without code, take a video and generate an article out of it. Really interesting things with automators.
I've seen also the migration without code being used in our company. So I think, there's some really good stuff in it.
Cool. Now, The automators, the different automators, they're things that have skills. They can do certain things that you ask them to do. Like I said, with one of them being unstructured, so it can read files, another scraping the internet. There's a lot available. So this is the current documentation page for Interpolator. The vast majority of these have been moved to AI Automators. We're still working on better documentation to show all of these off. It took a long time for us to build this, so it'll take a while for us to move it across. Before Interpolator, you had to go and find every single different module that provided an automator. So we didn't do anything out of the box. Now, when you install the AI module and you install AI Automators submodule, you'll get most of the important ones. Certainly, everything to do with AI and LLMs. Right. So the first thing to know is we're going to be using unstructured. And this is the one that will allow us to import things. This is something that is open source, and you can, if you go to unstructured.io, you can get started and download this and get it set up on your own servers. However, we're going to be using the SaaS API service. So it looks something like this, and you're going to get things set up with your own API key. And then you're going to go to configure web services unstructured. I've already created a key. You're going to need the host API, and you're going to need this the key that you've set up. You click Save Configuration, and now we have unstructured. So what are we going to do today? Well, the Umami site is a really good starting place to show off the kind of demos that you can build and things you can do with AI. So what we thought here is normally with Umami, you'll go to it, and you'll click Content, Add Content, and you see a recipe. And it is a field, a form in Drupal with a whole bunch of fields that you can fill in. And it will take certain time typing in every single one of them. What we thought would be cool is instead, all you did was take a recipe PDF, upload it, type in the name of the recipe that you've got, click Save, and AI does everything for you. In order for that to happen, we're going to need to set up automators on those fields to fill everything in. And we're going to have to set up a couple of extra fields that are going to be sort of intermediary steps. So if I click manual, this is something similar to what you see out of the box with Umami. And if I click generated, this is going to be where we put in all of the special intermediary steps that we're going to need. This is something we set up before with Interpolator, and today we're going to do the same thing with automators. So here we have, I'm going to close this. And before I start, this is the recipe book that we've got. So it's just a PDF. And we're going to try and import this eggplant and chicken pizza. So we have a recipe here. The first thing we're going to do is automators intuitively works really well with how you're used to with things in Drupal, where you go and do everything at a field layer, which means you don't have to completely plan out your chain, know everything you're going to do. You can just think about putting things in a field. Where do I get the information from? What's the next step? And if you need to do something more complicated, you just go back and create the field. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah. I was also thinking that it's really, it feels almost natural because it augments the fields. It really like improves the fields. It's really a natural field. So I think if you edit one of these fields and you show where you enable the automator, this is really where it feels natural to use it.
Cool. So to start off with it, the first step in this is we're going to need to upload a file somehow. And what I've done is a couple of these have been set up beforehand, but what I've got here is I've just put a label automator. You obviously don't need that. I've made a recipe book upload field. So if I edit that, you can see that this is a standard file field. Public files is the upload destination. You can only have one. And we're going to allow text and PDFs. This is a file directory, and we're leaving the maximum file size to 100 megabytes. So this
is where you will upload the source PDF where it can scrape the content from, right?
Yeah. And then secondly, we've got here. So the first thing we're going to do is, as you said, we're going to need to scrape all that content. So we've uploaded it now, but now we need it as text so that our site can do something with it. And this is where unstructured comes in. It's similar to OCR, but with OCR, it will just extract nothing but the text. So for example, if I look at this, it will just say method. We've seen things when we put it through OCR, It'll say like eggplant, chicken pizza. It might put serves. It might put the word method underneath serves. It would just take all that text and put it all over the place. That's okay. AI can figure things out a lot of the time from the context of the text. But if you can capture the structure of the page, not just the content of the page, which is what unstructured IO does, that helps communicate to the AI more about what's going on. That ingredients, this is a list of the ingredients, and it's different to where it appears in method. So the first thing we're going to do is scrape everything across the whole book. And that's where we created a new field, and we created a normal, standard, plain text long that is limited to 1. Helper text, this is all standard, but then you click AI Automator, and this is where everything starts. So here, this is not using AI yet. This is using unstructured API file to text, and this is the automator. This is a little robot that has the ability to take a file, convert it to text. Only a base mode, and there's only one file upload field, but if there were more file upload fields, you could select, a different one. In the advanced settings, label is useful for later admin referencing. Don't need to worry about that for now. The weight is important. You need these things to happen in order. So if any AI is going to try and summarize this recipe, it can't summarize it until the text has been extracted. So I've put this as fairly low. I put it as 20.
This is actually the order in which they are chained after each other, right? Yeah.
Exactly, yes. Now, there's different ways in which we can make the chain happen. So the simplest is we can do direct, which is as soon as you save the entity, it would just do everything. But if this is a complex process with where some of the steps take a long time or there's a lot of steps, you're much more likely to time out and have problems with that. We're going to use batch, where everything happens in JavaScript, because it's quite nice for us to see what's happening during a demo, but it's not recommended. It won't work with programmatical saving. And if something happens in your browser, you close it, everything will happen halfway through. So generally for larger ones, you want to use Q or cron. Yeah. But for now, we're going to stick to batch. These are settings specific to interpolate to the unstructured. The important one is it defaults to pure text. We wanted to put it as Markdown, so we actually capture some of the structure. You could also do HTML, but Markdown, a lot of AI tends to work really well with Markdown. They output things as Markdown. They read things in Markdown. So it'll be a lot easier for the AI to understand what's going on than the messiness of lots and lots of, brackets in HTML. Now, this is a little bit complicated. So we were talking about this before about splitting things. Okay. So it's been updated since we last spoke about it. So the way that we're doing things now is by default, everything is going to go into one field. And that's fine for AI automators. It's all going to go into one thing. But there might be situations where you actually want to make it so that this thing has more than one field value, and we could split things up into more than one. So for now, we're just going to do no split.
For my understanding, for the listeners maybe, so if we would have multiple field values, the AI would maybe extract data from the PDF and maybe generate multiple fields if there's multiple steps in the population or these kind of things. Like it can generate all these fields depending on the prompt you give it.
Yeah. In this case, we're not using AI. So the way it's split could be, if it's a PDF, you do it on a page. So we might want to make it so each box is page 1, page 2, page 3. Element split will be to do with this stuff here, which you are going to have to understand how unstructured works to understand whether or not it's going to put something to a header, footer, etc. For now, it's no split. Strategy, we're just going to use auto. I don't fully understand the difference between those things. Finally, we're not going to extract the images. The extraction is not very good. The image extraction is not very good. The quality of those images tends to be quite bad. There's going to be a point in which we can then use AI to upscale them, but we're not there yet. So we're going to actually generate our image with DALL-E. And yeah, by person perfect match. I'm just going to keep that there. So what this would do, we're going to show you one that we already made in the past. So let's go to this one here that we made. So we type in the title, we've uploaded, you can see the file uploaded there. And the first thing it's done is extracted, using unstructured, everything here. So you can see it's trying to bring in lists. It's giving titles. You can see method. It's not got it perfect, but method 1, ingredients coming along here, etc. So it's extracted everything. Now, the second thing is we want to deal with the specific. We've got the whole book now on every single field, but we want to deal with the specific recipe that we've uploaded. So here we've created a new text field that is plain long, and we're going to want to separate it out. And so this time we go enable AI Automator, but we're going to choose a different automator type where we're going to use LLM text. This is going to change. In LLM text, we do a little bit for you. So we do things like make it reply with a JSON image blob that we can do something with. We make sure that it doesn't become conversational. So if you ask it to do something, it does what you say. It doesn't just it doesn't go through and say, "Oh yes, thank you, I'll do that for you." So there's a few things that we've done here. This is particularly important if you're going to want to do that thing we talked about before of splitting the result into multiple fields. If you're going to do complex fields like address fields where you always want to split it in some kind of intelligent way. We're going to change this one from the word simple to raw. For some smaller models, less intelligent ones than like OpenAI or Claude, it can't do this. It will get confused. So instead, you might want to use the raw one, where instead of us asking it to return it as JSON and us do some stuff for you, you always just get the raw output of the LLM directly into your field. You can see we could have done the structured, and we could also have done audio to text at this point, but we're going to do text. There's two modes here. A base mode has a couple of very simple tokens that you can do, and you can select some things. In fact, we will show you. No, this one needs the advanced one. Yeah, because we've got two different fields that we've taken from. So in advanced mode, we can pass into the prompt different tokens. So based on the context that it is a cookbook, extract the part that is a recipe for node title. So in this case, it was eggplant and chicken pizza. So it's put that in and return it exactly as written. Do not add or remove anything. And then it says the context, and then it gives you the output of that field of everything. To do this, you sometimes have to use it's a little bit confusing sometimes. This, if you're used to Drupal, you'll get your head around this, but you have to use the tokens module, and we have to go and find, so let's say we wanted title. That's one there. And then the scraped, you can see there, automator all scrape books. So we have to click on this to bring it in. If we click on that, it adds it.
This is with tokens. So the advanced mode is using tokens, and the base mode, this actually means you use another field, you reference another field as context. That's, I think, the main difference between advanced and base mode.
Yeah. Right. So we're going to exit out of that and advanced settings. So again, I've made the automator weight 30. We want this to happen really, really soon after. I might make even 25, and it's still batch. OpenAI, GPT-4. These are all the settings for your model. And don't, wait, we want to set it to join. Yes, we do. Well, it's only ever going to give one response, but if it gives more than one, we want it to join with a new line. So this is the thing that we were talking about. If we had, if we had it so there was multiple values. So let's say we're asking it, give me 5 poems. And this is a field, the plain text field, that allows you to have like more than one value. And we say you want five poems. Do we want all 5 poems to appear like they do in the chat window, one above each other? If that's the case, we'll bring them in and do a new line. So they're one above each other. We could even separate them by comma, so they'll appear next to each other. That'll be useful for tags, obviously not useful for poems. But we can also click don't join. And if we click don't join, it will instead add them to all the different fields. Field values. So you'll get 5 separate field values. And that might be useful for everything else that you're doing in Drupal, like stuff you're doing with views, etc., to separate them out. In this case, we're hoping we're only going to get 1. So we don't really want to deal with this. So then I would have saved settings. And if we go back to the one that I've already done, you can see it has separated it out, automated specific recipe. And it's got just that one. So now we're going to want to do stuff with this. So let's pick the recipe summary next. I think that's a good place to go with. So if we edit the summary, we again now want to click Enable AI Automator. And I'm just going to reference how we did it with the previous site. Yep, you could do things there with your allowed text formats, but that's standard fill settings. So I don't know what's defaulted to that. But again, we want to use text here because we're going to use AI to answer this question. And similarly, we're going to go to advanced mode. And if I copy and paste the prompt that we had previously written when we made this demo, same thing here. Context is mostly preparations and ingredients. Write a lustful and positive summary that is 2 sentences long. But we now need the specific recipe. So that was the name of that, but we want the specific one there. Close tokens. Can't close it. Okay. Scroll down. Advanced settings. Automator label is set up there. This again, we want this to happen fairly early. We won't need to worry about automator weight every single time, but let's call this one 40. We're going to use batch. One thing to note, if the weight only works is within each of these different workers. So direct will always happen first when you save it, then everything in batch, and then everything in queue. OpenAI, keep that the same, and we're going to keep that to a new line. Right, so now if we go back to that recipe where we have got everything here. Where's our summary? There's nothing there yet. So let's click save. And then hopefully we'll see AI do its magic. Generally speaking, if there's something already in there, AI won't do anything and it'll only do something. Indulge in the luscious fusion of savory eggplant, tender chicken, tantalizing antipasto mixed on a crispy golden base, crowned with a perfect melt of cheese. This vibrant mouth-watering creation will leave your taste buds yearning for more of a irresistible bite. So there you go. AI created that summary. You can see this picture here. So we actually, this takes a little bit of time. So one thing we set up is let's do this image. And we did the image previously based around looking at the recipe. So let's go into the media image. Okay, so this is a normal media image file, limited to 1, type of item to reference media. You may translate field, reference type. So this is all standard. And then we go enable AI Automator and we click LLM media image generator. So originally that was like a DALL-E one, but again, because this is an abstraction layer, we can select a whole bunch of different ones, depending on the providers you have set up on your site. Yeah, Frederick.
Yeah, so Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, all of them are possible now here. Eh?
Yeah. Now, this one was simpler. We now are using the base mode. It's just a little bit easier for... where did it go? Automate settings there. And so rather than having every single token, we've only got these very basic placeholders. Max amount. So in the case of this, the max amount was 1. What we could do is make it so that if I'm asking for, instead of asking for 5 poems, I go, I would like max amount poems. And then then AI will only give me the number of poems that I've set on my field as how many values I'm going to allow. Context will take whatever is in that field, strip it of all those HTML, and then send it inside the prompt. Raw context will include the HTML.
I'm processing while you're narrating. So you could have like a field, 3 reasons why you will like this dish, and then have it automatically be populated. And then let's say, okay, you change it to 4, you edit the dishes, and they will automatically be 4 reasons why you like this dish.
Exactly. Yeah. So give me a picture of this recipe based on this information. And I originally took it from the specific recipe, and you can see it's kind of actually added in all of the ingredients. It's tried to write. Can I view image? Let's see how big the image is if I go straight to it. Yeah, you can see there. It's actually tried to write the descriptions. AI image generation is not yet that good at writing words. Chopped antipasto, drained there. Yeah. So it's a little bit bizarre. So what we're going to do instead is get this one. Let's get rid of that.
Prompt needs tweaking.
We're going to get it so it's taking it from the summary instead. So it won't think it's looking at a recipe. What do you reckon I should change about this?
Yeah, maybe we can add that it doesn't write text onto it to have no issues with the text in the image.
Make the image feel like a photo. Do not provide any text. And then advanced settings. And we're not going to do anything with this, so we don't care about the weight, but we do want it to be batch. Providers.
We want it to be batch for the demo. But actually, when you're really using this in production, you don't want it to be in batch. You rather have it on cron, right?
Exactly, yeah. Especially this one, because it takes quite a long time. DALL-E 3. Okay, number of images 1. Size. This is widescreen. We decided to do a HD quality. I put a bit about style in the prompt, but we put it there. And this is always going to be important. You have to select the media type. It's not going to work otherwise. It's very important to set that one. We'll probably want to change this around so that's higher up. And it will default to what you've the different file types. So it will default to this. But we would, because a media type can be more than one, we actually have to select this. So let's save settings. Now we're going to go into edit this, and we're going to delete this image. So there's nothing there. And we're going to go back to clicking save. And this one will take a little bit longer to do. So we can now move on to show you a couple of little examples. We won't go through literally every single field, but we'll show you the more important different types of fields.
So the next, Jamie, yep. If we just take one step back, this means that you can fill all the fields in the recipe based on the data that you extracted from the PDF. So you have fully automatic content entry based on the PDF.
Yeah. As you can see now, this image looks a little bit more like a photo. Still looks a bit AI created, but there's no weird text all over the place. Now, so what do we think? For the next one, let's go for, okay, this is going to happen a lot on a lot of Drupal sites. We have the recipe category. Now, this is standard Drupal. We have structure, taxonomy, recipe categories. And this is a taxonomy that has a very limited number of terms. Is that right? Is there any way to say whether or not I can create new ones? Oh, that's at the field level, isn't it? Yeah. So what we have is accompaniments, desserts, main course, snacks, starters. And these are different kind of categories that we could have. You know what? Let's add breakfast as a term. Right. And then we have this field here that is a standard taxonomy field where we use entity reference. So let's edit it. So we've done entity reference field. It's called recipe category, and we're using a taxonomy term. And you can have unlimited reference method. So here's create reference entities that they don't already exist. So this where it would be for tagging, more for tagging, where then whatever anyone types in, we're going to add this. But for recipe category, we don't want that. We only want you to be able to select from that specific list. So we're now going to use AI Automator to look at the recipe and the description of it and the summary and everything, and come back with what it believes is the category for it. And I think we can only have, oh no, we can have unlimited. So in this case, we're going to go back to advanced mode. And I'm just going to go back to this thing here. No, we're going to use base mode. Right. So we're going to use a specific recipe. And we're going to type in this prompt here. So based on the context that is a recipe and a list of categories, choose one category that fits the recipe. And we've got a list of categories, value, options, comma. So these are placeholders and context. And I think actually I want to make it so that it can only do a maximum of 2 different options. I don't want things selecting all of them. So we're going to, for this one, we're going to do 2. You can select from that list. Does that make sense? Main course, snacks, starters, desserts. It's unlikely something will ever be more than 2. So we're going to limit it to 2. And this is using the simpler base mode. So I was able to say context. And instead of having to find that node, I had a slightly easier to use thing where I could select which specific field I was doing it based around. So, yeah, that was important as well. So we needed to tell automators which specific taxonomy to use for it, and we need the recipe category. And we don't care about weight, but we do care about that being batch for now, although obviously Q cron. And then we also want to know which provider it is. So GPT-4. In fact, because this is simpler, what we're going to try and do is let's use GPT-4 mini instead. So it'll be a little bit cheaper. So let's click edit. And recipe categories is, where is it? Did I scroll past it? Here we go. There's nothing filled in. So we're going to click save. You saw there that with, Okay, what I might try and do is just I was going to say, you saw there we could swap things around. Again, this is an alpha. We're going to have bugs every so often. So let me go back to recipe categories. And I'm going to make it go to unlimited this time. So I'm not going to do anything weird with it. And I'm going to, I didn't provide anything. So I need to,
I suspect it will be name.
I think you're right. Okay, this wasn't in interpolator. How do they select? Select the bundle to use to create the entity reference. Maybe I don't need that. Because it's already there. Might not do that. And I'm just going to go back to GPT-4o and let's see if this works.
Did we save the page? I think you wrote a refresh and save the page.
This looks better than before. Okay, so I don't know what that bundle is, but now we have a category. Is it not displayed? You don't have category. What have I done wrong?
I think my gut feeling says that you need to select a bundle, and that I would select the name in that bundle.
So this is how it was set up before. So recipe category. So he has unlimited. Reference message default, recipe category. Have I got the right one? Ah, there we go. So I didn't want entry reference. I wanted LLM taxonomy. So
Yes.
LLM taxonomy and entry reference are two separate things. Cool. That makes more sense now. Okay, now we go to automator settings. Right. Yeah, I was wondering, why was it created? Because why do I need to know that? Because it's already there. That's because I selected the wrong one. Okay. And I don't think I want text manipulation, but that did appear here. Text manipulation, none. Save settings. Right, now I'm hoping this will work. There we go. Perfect. Cool. Okay. So we're now that's going to be really important for categorizing things. So any kind of taxonomy you have on your site, you can now use to make a special AI categorizer. So you could do it for checking harmful content or content that you don't want. You could use it for categorizing the feel of the content because you've got some system that automates that. You could use it for taking in emails and figuring out which department should use that. In the prompt we gave, it just feeds in taxonomy. But in the prompt, we could do things like, say, describe what a main course is, or describe what kind of emails the HR department is, or the talent department, or something. So, yeah, is this something I'm guessing you've got loads of ideas of how this could be used, Frederick.
Yeah, I think now it boils down to how smart you can make the prompt to tag all your content. You can make a new taxonomy for whatever kind of reason and have all your content automatically be populated with these new terms. So that really makes it super powerful. It's like it gives you an extra editor that does all this content editing for you.
Yeah. Cool. So we're now going to go to something a little bit simpler. So we're going to do something called number of servings. So with number of servings, this is now not being creative like it was with images or the summary. It is simply trying to get very factual information out in a structured format that was originally structured. So number of servings there is already a number integer. So we edit this one here, limited to 1. And then we're going to enable AI Automator. And you can see the automator is just an integer one. And here we're going to use the base mode again. We're going to use our specific recipe part. And we're going to copy this one. So based on the context, read out or guess how many servings will be generated from this list. If you can't figure it out, just answer 4. So then in advanced settings, we're going to go to, I'd like to try out, let's see if we can get this working, but let's try a cheaper model. So instead of 4.0, we're going to try 4.0 mini. I'm going to see if this breaks. So your number of servings 0, and we can see here number of serves 4. So it should give the answer 4. And then I click save. And it has serves 4. Yeah. So then let's go for slightly more advanced. We're going to do this thing where we split it up into multiple fields that we were talking about beforehand, field values. So with ingredients, just going to go back to my place. Ingredients. We allow unlimited number of values for ingredients, and we actually want them to all be in a list. So it lists the ingredients required for this recipe, 1 per item. So similarly, we're going to click Enable AI Automator. We don't want simple, which is raw output. We definitely want to use this one here, which is going to give JSON. Again, the simple word should be raw. So we're going to change that to text. And we're going to use the base mode. And we're going to select the recipe part again. So this is a little bit more interesting. Based on the context, read out the ingredients for this and answer 1 value per ingredient. Answer with amount first, and then the ingredient, like 1 onion or 400 grams of chopped parsley. If something is optional, add it as well, but start with optional. For example, optional sugar to taste. Then we pull in the context from here. Again, this value is going to be important. Sorry, did you have something to say about this one?
Yeah. I think what is also interesting for people that aren't used to prompting is that you provide the examples here. It's called few-shot learning, and it really helps the AI to understand how it should return the values. And so this really makes it also more powerful.
Cool. So again, we don't care automated wait because there's nothing afterwards, but we do care about it being on batch. We're going to do OpenAI provider. I'm going to use proper GPT-4o there. And this time we actually don't want it to join because we actually do want them. Now, as I said again, what's happening here is this, LLM text is actually behind the scenes pre-prompting it, asking it to give an answer in JSON, where it's going to ask for multiple values. So we saw the word value in the prompt here. And by passing it back to us as JSON, we know that the LLM is saying these are separate things. These are separate ingredients, which our site can now do something with. Instead of it, we could have decided to put a joiner. So we could have decided that this is going to be a text field where all of the ingredients happen on a new line inside the text field if we want to. But in this one, we actually did want them as separate values, and that really helps us with laying out the page, etc. So let's click Save Settings. We can see the ingredients for the thing here is eggplant, tomato paste, chicken, antipasto, and grilled cheese. So let's go back.
So out of this unstructured text, we're making it structured in Drupal again, right?
Yeah. Processing AI fields. You wouldn't necessarily do this where you do it one at a time, but it might be helpful for your prompt engineering to try everything out one at a time. And there we go. A whole bunch of lists, a whole bunch of ingredients. The optional basil leaves, did it add that? Let's see if it has the word basil. There we go. So look at this. This is really interesting, right? So in an ingredients, it doesn't say basil. So it is not merely doing something that regex would do, where it says, take ingredients, take the text underneath it, do OCR. It's actually read through this, and we can see in the text it says garnish with basil leaves if desired. So our prompt understood that therefore this is actually an ingredient, but it's an optional one. And the way that we wanted to display on our site is optional basil leaves instead of this. Really powerful example of how migration with with AI could be fundamentally it just changes everything. Because so many times you have a reason why your new system separates fields into a new data structure because then the new functionality requires that. But your old site doesn't have that. Let's say you have a 5-star field because I want to do a list of book reviews based around their star value. But you previously had a blog where you just typed in, I really like this, or it's 5-star. What AI can do when we normally did migration, sometimes it was basically impossible, and we'd have to have teams of people watching it in one place and then typing it in the next place. Sometimes you would use regex to roughly guess, there's a pattern here. This is what a 5-star rating is, so we can pull that in. But sometimes if the person is just saying words like, I really like this, that's it. You have to have a human to do it. But now we can use AI to take unstructured and vague information in a previous structure that made sense into a new structure. we can now have a 5-star migration module that actually looks through the text and guesses what that review likely would have rated it. Even if they accidentally didn't provide it. And we see that here, garnish with basil leaves if desired. I think it's very cool. Yeah, did you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah. For you, you're talking about migrations, but for me, it's also about having correct data. Actually, I think that if you're going to go to the store and make this eggplant chicken pizza, you will take the ingredients and you will not have the basil when you start cooking, which is a shame. And I think with what we're doing here, you have like a more correct version of the ingredients. It's like self-correcting the editor that might have forgotten to add the basil to the ingredients list. I really like it.
That's really powerful. Yeah, it's a powerful way of thinking about that. So we've gone through most of the important ones now. A lot of them are repetition. So we've got difficulty here, which is another list text. No, this is interesting because this is now a list text rather than taxonomy. So let's go for this one here. So here, if you're familiar with Drupal, we can use taxonomy to categorize things where those can be used across multiple entities. Or we could just have a list where these allowed values, easy, medium, and hard. And it's limited now to 1. So we're going to want to judge that. Now, does this thing tell us how hard it is? It does not. So in this case, this is an example of something where this text here, it doesn't tell us if it's easy, medium, or hard. So we're going to use the AI to have its own judgment of what counts as easy, medium, or hard. So let's do this. Checking my other site here. Default value is medium. Right. So LLM list. That's the only automated type that we have here. We're going to use base mode again. We're going to change that to the specific recipe as before. And we're going to bring in this prompt. Based on the context, read out or guess how hard this recipe is to make and choose one of the possible values. If you can't figure it out, answer medium. Possible values, just one, context, etc. And then we're going to go to advanced settings. Same thing, 100, but we switch it to batch. One thing here is that we probably want to make it so that it respects the defaults on the site. So I don't have to do that because I've actually set up defaults. Let me just double check that I have. I have. Yeah, so we'd probably want to make it as a to-do. Actually, you don't have to set this up every single time. And one feature that is coming. Sorry, what's that?
Yeah, this is something that will be in a future version of the AI module where the default model is selected, so you don't have to manually select it in every field.
Cool. And one thing that is coming is one of the models you could select as default. So at the moment, if I wanted to change the model, I would have to go into every field and change it manually. But if I were to select this one to default, then if I change the default settings in AI settings, it will automatically change across the automator. It'll be very powerful because it means I can build the automators, but then when I want to, I can just test the whole chain on a different model. Right, there we go. And I'm going to save settings, and we're going to see how hard AI thinks this is. Save. It says medium. So don't know. That's probably reasonable. Maybe it was doing that by default. Yeah. Cool. So I think it would be good to get, because it's looking very empty. Let's get the just to make this look a little bit better, let's get the directions in. So this is formatted long, and this is going to be a relatively simple one. But what it's doing is taking this very messy version of it with loads of like weird words all over the place because it's from OCR, and now putting it to something that's a lot more readable. So let's go to edit that. It's normal plain text, enable AI Automator. We're going to use the text one again, not simple. We're going to use base mode. Yeah. Take that, put that in here. Read out the part that is directions or cooking for this, answer with HTML and an ordered list. So that's another thing that we're doing here, is that because this is a formatted text field, Yeah, so does that mean we actually need to make it so it can use the text format? No. Because it allows all available ones, yeah. Advanced settings, OpenAI, here we go. We're going to join with a new line, I think I want. So any joiner settings before? Don't join. Okay, let's do that. And so this is going to look a lot nicer now because it's going to have the actual recipe on the recipe. There we go. This is now looking like something that might want to be published at some point. Yeah, I think we're basically there. So we could obviously do cooking time, but we've already done something like a number integer one. We've done directions. We've done difficulty, ingredients. Layout is not anything to do with this. Number of servings, again, standard integer. Preparation time. Category
James,
we've done. Summary. Oh, let's do tags. Yeah?
Yeah, we already showed taxonomy terms. I think it's obvious what you've shown. If there's still questions for people, I think it's interesting. They can try the video and explore it for themselves, but they can also ask the question in the hashtag AI channel on Slack because lots of people are active there. And if there's still some uncertainties or unclarities, we can certainly help with that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, and as you saw in the original site, we did some UI stuff to make it look a little bit nicer. So when you do add content recipe, we moved things around into tabs and made it so that the only things you need are here rather than having to scroll through, but that's nothing to do with the AI module. So yeah, thank you again for this part 2. As Frederick said, this is the AI module. If you have any issues, feel free to hit us up in the issue queue. And also hash AI in Drupal Slack. We're always here. Give us a shout. And yeah, this has been a little bit of time to do. We've got another one that shows you a complete rundown on how you get AI search working, including a project browser and a little chat bot that allows you to answer questions about the recipes that you see here. So thank you. And we'll see you again in part 3 or our next video when we're hoping to have the beta released around September.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.